All right, this is the latest in our edition of Starkville Daily News Sports Scene. We've got some interesting high school football games this week. Last week it wasn't, there was a little bit low on our great matchups, but this week we have 2 or 3 really good ones. And it was hard to pick a game of the week, but you can't ever go wrong with Starkville Louisville.
Yeah, I think that's the choice this week. Starkville Louisville, the last 3 years has been really good. And you go back 4 years, and it was just a 10-point game, and Louisville's in the game. The last 3 years have all been single digits. And last year, Louisville got them. They kept getting closer and closer. It was 35-7, Tyrone Shorter's first year, then 24-14. Then it was, I think, a 5-point game and then a 1-point game, and they finally got them last year in an instant classic over at Yellow Jacket Stadium. The Jackets are going to be going into hostile territory in Louisville, R.E. Hines Stadium. 29 straight wins for Louisville, which if they win on Friday, they will be one of 15 teams that have won 30 straight in the state of Mississippi. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm doing double duty this week. I'm going to do radio 107. Maybe you can turn on the radio, listen to me on Friday night while you're in the office. And also we'll have coverage of it in Saturday's SDN. But it's going to be a slobber knocker, as Jim Ross would say in the wrestling days. I think that this is going to be a great ball game between two great coaches. Chris Jones played under Tyrone Shorter. That was his defensive coordinator at Knoxville County, and these guys have duked it out over the years. They got great respect for each other. I've never seen a bigger discrepancy in classification where the competition was so close. But that's Louisville really plays above that 4A classification label, so I'm really looking forward to it.
It's like you said in the preview, it's going to come out in Friday's paper. The storylines are endless in this game, and it's kind of the last in the round robin between Starkville, West Point, and Louisville. After Friday, they would have all played each other.
The Golden Triangle. I don't even know what the Golden Triangle is, but I would kind of classify that maybe this is the Golden Triangle Football Association. I don't know, but these teams in this area, Knoxville, Louisville, West Point, Starkville, they're in the state championship more often than not, and they're playing each other in the non-conference schedule more often than not. And I think playing each other really prepares them for what's down the road, because this is a very tough area.
Yes.
Both in the physicality and just the fact that the teams are just really good.
Yeah. And another battle of unbeatens. We got East Webster and Baldwin. East Webster's finally back home after 3 weeks. They had those 2 games down in Winston County, and Baldwin has always been a tough game for East Webster.
They have, and they're down in 1A now, I believe. But this was become a pretty good rivalry when they were both in 2A, and I don't think Baldwin's really stepped off that much as far as their level of play. I think this is a team that is still really good. I think, like you said, they're still undefeated right now. I talked to Ron Price this week. He believes that they have really improved from last year. Last year maybe was kind of a rebuilding year for them after that team that was capable of compete for state championship a couple years prior. This is going to be a really good challenge for them. They got Calhoun City next week, and then Choctaw County. What a stretch here.
Wow.
No offense to my Winston County folks, but Nanawoy and Noxapater don't really compare to what they're about to see over the next 3 weeks. And even Baldwin, Baldwin's a really, really good 1A team. So while they're still playing that 1A competition, I think this is going to be a good test for them with Calhoun City and Choctaw County both coming up the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. You mentioned Choctaw County. They've got Winona, and that's always an interesting game for them. I know Winona's got, I think, at least one loss now. I don't know if they've lost again, but they lost their quarterback and some other talented players. But I think they'll still be a formidable foe. Yeah,
this is a team that they lost some players from last year, but the guys that are playing, they experienced being on a state championship team. They got the team over the hump. So while they lost the quarterback Richardson, they lost Fat Clark, who's over here playing linebacker for Mississippi State, and also the Lockhart kid who is playing offensive line for State. That's 3 huge pieces for a 3A team to lose. But, the expectations over there have not changed. They still want to win in a big way, and they have that mentality about them. This is a big game for Choctaw County just before they get into district play, kind of getting over that hump against Winona, a team they felt like they were close to last year, and they really were wanting to meet again in the playoffs.
Right.
This is even if Winona isn't what they were last year, it's a name opponent. It's a team that believes they can compete in the North and 3A. This is a big step for Choctaw County to get that bad taste out of their mouth that's still probably there from week one,
right.
To go out there and play really good football and get a win.
Yeah, and they get to play in that nice stadium one more time. They're putting it to use, aren't they?
They need to.
Yeah.
You wait long enough for that thing. You spend
Yeah.
enough money. You might as well get out there and play a game in there.
Yes.
So yeah, they're really excited about playing that ball game inside that stadium. Had to go on the road last year for that shootout against Winona. They get a chance to play the Tigers inside that stadium. It should be a great atmosphere there. The last 2 weeks, I wasn't there last week, but the week before was slam packed, and that's a pretty large stadium. And then last week I heard it was a great turnout too. So I imagine this week's going to be no different.
Yeah.
If you get there early enough, you might see Natty Faulk on the field pregame doing some cheering. So
I'm sure she'll be into it.
yeah, she's pumped. The cheer camps all week, so they're really excited.
Yeah, that's nice for them. But I remember that game 2 years ago. They couldn't even play in Choctaw County because of the rain, and it really got the field unplayable. They had to play at Starkville High School, so I was able to watch that game. But we'll touch on Mississippi State briefly, I guess, as brief as possible on that.
Well,
last
it looks
game.
like we only have 10 seconds left, Danny. Sorry, we can't do
it. They're going to have to bounce back in a big way. SEC starts, and that wouldn't no better way to do it in the SEC game. But how much in a week can they progress to get over what we had to witness last week?
That's kind of the question, because it was, for lack of a better word, it was just a disaster for them. And it was really surprising. I thought that Toledo would be a good challenge for Mississippi State. That's a really good Group of 5 team.
Yeah.
A program that's been fantastic under Jason Candle, and even before him. They've been really good for a long time. So it was going to be a good test, but to just get flat out whipped on both sides was what was so strange. And I think really what it told us when you look at it and you start to really break it down is Mississippi State just desperately need some continuity and not so much trauma. They had the Mike Leach situation passing away, which was just an absolute blow for not only college football, but especially for this program, to lose a guy that had that stability, was such a great program coach. To lose that was huge for Mississippi State. And then, you make a bad hire with Zach Arnett, and things are really just kind of in disarray right now. And I have, taking the journalist's cap off and just, looking at it from a different perspective, I have a lot of trust and faith in Jeff Lebby that he's going to be able to turn this thing around. But watching them last week proved to us, I think, that it's a much bigger process for Mississippi State than maybe we thought beforehand.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you can judge a man after 3 games, even though the first game was an impressive win against Eastern Kentucky, which is obviously weren't very good.
Yeah.
But then the last 2 weeks haven't gone their way. But I don't think you need to make any, rash decisions 3 games into a season. Maybe even get through this season and maybe even another one before you start thinking along those lines. But Florida, they're going to come in here thinking that they can win, and they haven't had a very good start themselves, and the coach is on the hot seat. But it's going to be we'll see what happens in Davis Wade on Saturday morning, bright and early kickoff at 11 o'clock. But we'll be talking about all of these games and a lot more next week. So stay tuned.